just a matter of time, I suppose.
Yesterday, I saw The Watchmen, a big screen adaptation of the 1986 DC Comics series, the only graphic novel to make it to Time Magazine's Top 100 English language novels. The film was directed by Zack Snyder, as the previews are so quickly to tell us, the visionary director of 300. He also directed the apparently much forgotten 2004 remake of Dawn of the Dead. Snyder brings a very stylized visual sense to The Watchmen. According to most sources, a very close adaptation to the graphic novel, though with any film adaptation of a literary work, even if it is comic book, it has to veer away from the source material. In some ways, it is two different mediums. Cronenberg once said, and I think truthfully, that sometimes the only real way to do justice to the original material is to veer away from it and just try to capture the essence of the work. In my opinion, I find Watchmen quite enjoyable. It runs out almost complete 3 hours. But I do have to admit, though about 3 hours in length, it certainly doesn't feel like it. It certainly keeps moving, it keeps your interest. One of my only real complaints would be that the film spends a little too much time on exposition and character development. I understand that that's a big part of the graphic novel, and I understand that it is kind of important to the adaptation to big screen form, but considering 3 hours, over 2/3 of it being exposition and character development and less than 1/3 of it being actual story, I think that possibly the ratio could have been skewed a little bit more towards what is actually happening. It is very much an ensemble cast, lots of actors in this movie, many recognizable, most you probably wouldn't know their names. Some breakout performances, in my opinion, are Jackie Earle Haley, probably best known for his performance in 1976 Bad News Bears, has in recent years made a bit of a comeback as an actor, and I think he does a really good job as Rorschach. The other standout performances by Malin Ackerman, certainly a very pretty girl whose boobs have been seen in movies such as Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle, and who has brought in comedic performances in the remake of Heartbreak Kid and 27 Dresses. The reason why I say she stands out in this film is because she stands out as clearly being the worst one in it. I try not to be too negative, but this poor girl could not act her way out of a paper bag, and definitely ruins the weight of this film when she's on screen a lot of the time. Differences towards the end of the film The Watchmen compared to the comic book, though they are similar, they are slightly different, are drawing comparisons by comic book fans to The Dark Knight. And though I can see how these fans are making these comparisons, where they're going with that, what their point of view is, I have to say that ultimately the messages of each of the film are completely opposite, very different. Very much in my opinion, The Dark Knight is about how mankind is better than most people think it is. And ultimately the end of The Dark Knight is about a hero, that sometimes a hero has to not always be what we think a hero is to be the hero. Watchmen, on the other hand, is saying that basically a terrorist event is what will bring mankind together. That complete annihilation of New York City is what will make people believe that they need to finally band together. That we, in essence, have to be tricked by a higher being to be good. And considering that it works in the comic book and in the movie, total annihilation of New York does lead to world peace. I can only say that I'm not quite sure what that is saying about actual mankind, considering that 9/11, which is hard not to draw that parallel to, didn't lead to world peace. That it only led to more war. So what is that saying about us, for real, not in the comic book? In any case, that's going probably a little bit too far and too deep into a movie and a comic book series. Ultimately, though it made like $54 million over the weekend, that did not reach the projections of how much that film was going to make compared to how many screens it was released on. I'm not sure how they make these projections, especially considering that the movie trailers made the film look completely awful, in my opinion. And though it was the only film that came out this weekend, and the reason why I went to go see it, I'd have to say I was pleasantly surprised. A good soundtrack, a good collection of songs, though I am not sure that they fit into a comic book movie. It's refreshing to hear songs that we usually don't hear unless we're watching a Martin Scorsese movie. It's fun enough, action is done well. Like I said, it's long, but it moves. I'd have to say that if you're into comic books, definitely check it out. If you're not in the comic books, it might be a little bit too long for you, but ultimately it's good storytelling. I would recommend it.